The first time Amara heard the ocean sing, she was 6 years old, sitting barefoot on the wooden pier in a small fishing village in Bicol. Her father, Mang Lito, was repairing his tangled nets beside her, humming an old Kundiman tune that floated with the breeze. There was nothing glamorous about their life, just salt, sweat, storms, and survival, but Amara always believed beauty lived in the spaces people forgot to look. Her father saw it too. "Anak," he would say, tapping her chest lightly, "God gave you a voice stronger than the waves. Use it well." Years passed, and her father's words sank deeper into her soul than any tide. They were poor, far poorer than most people outside the village would ever imagine, but Mang Lito had one rule: we don't complain. We work. And we sing. That rule shaped Amara's childhood. While classmates brought cell phones to school, she brought a plastic lunchbox filled with fish her father caught at dawn. While other teens stayed home during typhoons, she helped her father tie the boat to survive the stormy nights. And every evening, no matter how difficult the day had been, she sang to him as he mended nets, simple songs, sometimes off-key, but always full of heart. When Amara turned 19, tragedy came without warning. A brutal monsoon swallowed the shore. Boats capsized, families evacuated, and in the chaos, her father was swept out by the waves he had lived his entire life upon. They found him the next day, still holding the broken paddle he'd used to fight the storm. The village mourned, but no one mourned louder than Amara. Her father had been her compass, her anchor, her entire rhythm. For weeks she couldn't sing a single note. The silence felt like betrayal. But one night, sitting alone on the pier, she closed her eyes and remembered the last thing he had told her before he left to fish: "When I'm gone, Anak, keep singing. Promise me that." She whispered her promise into the wind. And the next morning, she began again. Her voice wasn't trained, but it was raw, aching, hopeful, and powerful in a way only real struggle could create. Locals began to listen. A passing tourist filmed her singing by the sea and uploaded it online. Days later, her entire village was knocking on her door shouting her name. The video had exploded. Millions of views. Messages from strangers. A producer from America's most famous talent show. The kind of invitation people like her never receive. "You want me to go to America?" she asked in disbelief during the call. "Yes," the producer said. "We think your story, and your voice, deserves to be heard." The entire village helped her prepare. They raised money in ways that would sound impossible anywhere else: fishermen pooling day-old earnings, sari-sari stores placing tip jars labeled "Para kay Amara," teenagers washing boats for donations, mothers selling bibingka outside the chapel. It was community at its purest, love without conditions. When she finally boarded the plane to Los Angeles, she carried not just her luggage, but the hope of an entire coastline on her shoulders. The auditorium was massive, far from anything she had ever seen. Bright, cold, intimidating. Amara's hands shook as she stepped onto the stage. The judges stared at her, stern, unreadable. Especially Simon Cowell. She had seen him on TV her whole life, always brutally honest. She swallowed hard. "What's your name?" he asked. Amara," she said. "And where are you from?" "From Bicol, Philippines. My father was a fisherman." The audience murmured softly. Simon nodded. "And why are you here?" She took a breath, small, trembling. "Because my dad always believed my voice could travel farther than our boat ever could." Something shifted in the room. A spark. A heartbeat. Even Simon's expression softened for a moment. "What are you going to sing?" "A song for him," she replied. Music began, just a simple piano. No fancy arrangement. No backup vocals. And then she sang. Her voice didn't just fill the stage, it filled every empty space inside people. It carried the weight of storms, the taste of seawater, the warmth of sunsets, the pain of loss, and the kind of love only a child has for a parent who gave everything. She sang with a tenderness that cracked open hearts, then soared with strength that stunned even the most cynical listeners. Halfway through, her voice wavered, grief rising, but she pushed through it, letting every memory of her father shape her notes into something unforgettable. By the final line, grown adults in the audience were wiping tears. Even Simon leaned back, blinking more than usual. The crowd erupted before the music even ended. Amara stood frozen, overwhelmed by the standing ovation, hundreds of people applauding a fisherman's daughter who once sang only to the sea. Simon lifted his hand for silence. "Amara," he said, folding his arms, "I'll be honest. When you walked out here, I wasn't expecting much. But that voice, that emotion, you didn't just sing a song, you lived it. And you made all of us live it too." Her throat tightened. No one had ever spoken about her singing like that, not even the people who loved her most. He continued, "Your father would be proud. Very, very proud." That was the moment she broke, covering her mouth as tears spilled down her cheeks. And then, in the middle of the applause, something unexpected happened. A woman from the front row stood and placed a hand over her heart, whispering, "Thank you for sharing him with us." Others followed, one by one, forming a strange but beautiful wave of gratitude. It wasn't just about talent anymore. It was humanity meeting humanity in its purest form. Simon pressed his button. Golden confetti exploded from the rafters like 1,000 pieces of sunlight raining down. Amara gasped as the judges stood. The entire auditorium roared her name while she spun beneath the shower of gold, crying harder than she had cried since the night she lost her father. From somewhere deep inside, she felt something shift, grief turning into purpose. She wasn't singing to survive anymore. She was singing to give back. To honor the man who raised her with courage and humility. To show the world that greatness can come from small places, rough hands, and simple dreams. When the show ended that night, Amara walked outside and stared up at the American sky. Different stars, same universe. And she thought about her father, how he had spent his whole life battling unpredictable waters so she could have a future. Now she finally understood, the storms he fought weren't just for him. They were for her. She closed her eyes, letting the cool wind brush her face, imagining it carried all the way across the Pacific back to Bicol. She whispered, "We did it, Papa." But the real miracle wasn't the golden buzzer. It was what happened afterwards. Her performance went viral worldwide. People wrote messages saying her voice helped them grieve their own losses. Donations poured into her village, new boats, new roofs, even scholarships for local children who dreamed of a life beyond the shoreline. Her father's legacy became a lifeline for others. Amara learned something essential: success means little unless it lifts others too. Months later, when she stood in the finals, she didn't sing alone. She carried her father's memory, her village's hopes, and the love of thousands of strangers who believed in her story. Her journey wasn't perfect, but it was real, and sometimes, real is what touches hearts the most. As she walked off the stage one last time, she realized her father had been right all along. Her voice really was stronger than the waves. And now, it was changing lives, one note at a time.